In addition to space technology, Taiwan and the United States are also expected to have more military exchanges because the U.S. House of Representatives has passed the National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, for next year, which includes U.S. backing for expanded military exchanges with Taiwan and many other amendments, including two on Taiwan. The first one requires the United States Secretary of Defense to report to the committee on the feasibility of the U.S. Navy making port of call stops in Taiwan and vice versa. And the other amendment is about normalizing the transfer of defense articles and services to Taiwan. Although the bill still needs to be ratified by Congress, it will roll back 4 decades of U.S. policy in Asia. Washington has deferred to China regarding too many port calls ever since switching diplomatic recognition from Taipei to Beijing. Observers said the decision in favor of mutual port calls likely would rest with the White House, even if the language is included in the final version of the bill.
In terms of political reality now among 3 players, we have to be very careful. I personally would be more cautious to look into, even if looking back at the last few years, when the Congress passed the bill, political sense, it just sent a recommendation to the incumbent administration. Whether or not the administration will take up, it all depends on the political decision, especially the incumbent president. So many people from the United States may say this is a quite regular democratic process. It doesn't really mean the Trump administration will completely follow.
In addition to the potentially mutual port calls with Taiwan, some developments will also certainly seem to suggest that U.S. President Donald Trump's honeymoon period with China may be over. Even if not over, the United States is willing to step on Chinese toes more than it was in the aftermath of the April summit between Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. First, the U.S. Treasury Department announced that it was taking steps against the Chinese-based bank of Dadong for alleged activities facilitating financial activities for North Korean entities or companies. And the second measure was the approval by the United States State Department of a major arms package to Taiwan. The package, expected to amount to over $1 billion, follows remarks by U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, highlighting that the United States will continue to abide by its commitments to Taiwan under the Taiwan Relations Act and stands to considerably increase tensions across the strait. Intensifying the signal is the proposal to allow, as we talked about before, mutual port calls. China will nevertheless likely perceive amount of intensified U.S. backing for Taiwan, potentially leading to increased tensions between across the straits.
I would say this kind of action supporting Taiwan is not only for the sake of Taiwan, but because Taiwan and the United States, we have parallel national interest vis-a-vis China. And if the United States wants to contain China, and Taiwan can play a very significant role and in exchange for U.S. aid for Taiwan.
Although the measure will still need wider congressional approval, it also marks a show of considerable support from the United States for Taiwan. Beijing will pay little attention to the fact that the arms sales and the measure allowing the port calls originated in different branches of the U.S. government and departments. And as you can see, the division between the legislative and executive branches as well. American Institute in Taiwan Chairman James Moriarty said Tuesday that it would be dangerous for U.S. naval vessels to visit Taiwan. Meanwhile, China's first operational aircraft carrier, the Liaoning, arrived in Hong Kong, marking the 20th anniversary of Hong Kong's handover to Britain, or from Britain to China, I should say. China watchers say its very presence is an unprecedented show of military force. On the other hand, the United States, India, and Japan have started a large-scale naval exercise with the aim of maintaining the balance of power in Asia-Pacific by helping the 3 countries confront threats in the region. Judged from its past experiences and records, China shows zero tolerance to sovereignty threats, not to mention if U.S.-Taiwan mutual port calls really happen.
I don't think that this kind of action will come true, will happen, because there are lots of channels between China and the United States to discuss or to negotiate on this kind of issue. And if it really happens, that could be a very, very embarrassing situation, both for China and for the United States. So I would say they have, so to say, proactive measures to prevent this from happening. Yeah? But if, I will say, the consequences will be very serious.
In conclusion, port calls contribute to specific political and diplomatic goals of our government. A U.S. aircraft carrier pulling into a port is a powerful symbol, while analysts said Trump appeared to be using Taiwan as an leverage against Beijing amid heightened tensions over North Korea's nuclear weapon issuing program. This constitutes a clear warning that the Trump administration requires Beijing to deliver what has been agreed on North Korea in return for easing pressure on China on the economic front and on Taiwan. While the arms sales to Taiwan may be just a matter of time due to the United States' obligations to Taiwan under the Taiwan Relations Act, mutual port calls may require more careful and more well-rounded calculation, both for Trump and for Taiwan.